Today we're going to look at the IL-2. I want to keep this video as brief as possible, but I also want it to be as thorough as possible so you're not left confused, you're not understanding something. Listed on screen are the four we're going to discuss in this video. I've left the 1941 out purely because it has 20 millimeters and the others are just far superior in terms of armament. But everything you'll see in this video will apply to it even though it's not listed here. This video is intended for simulator battles, and more specifically, enduring confrontation. It's going to assume that you have some basic piloting experience, have played the game mode before, and have keys bound to move your head in the cockpit or have a track IR or VR headset. When firing at targets, it's important to know how far away they are. We can guesstimate range using the IL-2's gun sight, and most tanks, when they occupy the entire gun sight, are going to be about 800 meters away. And I've included 600, 400, and 200 for reference. This is the last diagram, I promise. We just want to familiarize ourselves with these values so we can generate a firing solution for ground targets, specifically with our rockets. This isn't how they were historically used, but this would work in real life or in, say, IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad if you're engaging a lot closer than you would conventionally. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to actually use these. Here I am coming in on a gun run, and I'm using the 23 millimeters with 400 meters of convergence. I'm going to use the gun sight to guesstimate roughly how far away the tank is. I want to open fire around 700 or 600. It's not overly important to be super precise. We just want to get as many hits on the side of the tank as we can. Once we begin firing, we can stop at about 100 meters, pull up, and find another target. Even though the 7.62s largely use the same aiming methodology as the 23s, it is worth noting that the angle of attack isn't as important and they should be reserved for soft targets such as anti-tank guns, howitzers, and light vehicles. The 37s aren't going to perform any differently in a gun run than, say, the 23 millimeters. We just want to be conscious of having a little bit more airspeed because the first shot is going to jostle the aircraft a little bit. But aside from that, we're going to do the exact same thing, setting up on a run, put as many shots in the side of the tank as we can, and then pull up and find another target. In this example, we're using the 100 kilogram bombs with a 2-second fuse. This will work on anything from the 25s to the 250s. I find myself using the 100s the most. We're going to want to set ourselves in about a 25 to 30 degree dive on the target using the 400 and 600 meter hash marks, putting the target in the center. I paused the video right here so that you can see a better view of what it is that I'm talking about. We're going to want to hold the target in between this point and follow it down to the opening at the bottom of the gun sight. And that's the point we're going to release our bomb. This is what the sight picture is going to look like for the RBS 132s on the IL-2 1942 and 43. The IL-2M Type 3 is going to behave a little bit differently, but we want the 1200 meter hash mark in the center and the 1000 meter hash mark at the base of the gun sight. We'll go ahead and approach from some altitude in a shallow dive towards the target, and we're going to want to put the bottom of the 1000 meter hash mark on the right or left side of the tank depending on which wing we're firing from, and we should score a hit. We can pull up again and find another target. For the RS-132s, it's convenient to not have to move your head. These rockets travel at a higher velocity, so we can just use the 400 and 600 meter hash marks as a reference point and plot the tank in between them on the left or right side, depending on which wing we're firing from, and use a lower angle of attack. We'll want to fire about 400 meters away. Should score a direct hit. Now the IL-2M Type 3, the rockets behave a little differently because they're angled upwards. So with the RBS, we're going to want to have our gun sight between the 800 and 1000 meter hash marks. Put a line on the left or right side of the tank. I use a little rudder here just to kick it back online and fire from about 400 meters. That one wasn't super clean, so I went ahead and did a little high yo-yo to come over and hit this light vehicle in a little bit cleaner fashion so you can see from both sides. And with the IL-2M Type 3, the RS-132 rockets, we don't have to move our head. We can leave the gun sight right in the middle, line up on the left or right side of the tank, and again about 400 meters fire, should get a direct hit. I also included a clip of showing a higher angle of attack at a lighter target. These rockets ideally are suited for lighter targets, but can pen some tanks from the side. Taking a look at the ordnance options that we have available, I would always advise taking rockets and bombs when providing CAS, because taking only one or the other is going to limit yourself and how effective you can be. Personally, I prefer the RBS and RS-132s with the 4100s. I find that to be useful in most situations. However, if I'm attacking a convoy, sometimes I like to take the AO-25Ms. They're very effective against light vehicles and can even kill a tank if dropped accurately. Any tanks found in the column can be killed with guns or rockets. It's also worth noting that the RS-82 and RBS-82 rockets aren't very useful in my opinion, and you're better off taking bombs only until you get the RBS or RS-132s unlocked. I would say all the IL-2s are viable. It's just going to boil down to your flight style and preference. I've listed some pros and cons, so go ahead and feel free to pause the video to take a closer look. Now, with all that being said, that pretty much concludes this video, and I hope it's been informative and allows you to have a better understanding of how to utilize the weapons on the IL-2. I appreciate you all for watching, and we'll see you in the skies.